The Ensombl Advice South Africa podcast is intended for professional financial advisors. All discussion is limited to publicly available information and should not be interpreted as legal, professional, or financial advice.
Hi, I'm Louis van der Merwe, Certified Financial Planner. Join me every week where I get to have discussions with global leaders in the financial planning space to help you serve your clients better and run a more efficient financial planning practice. This is the Ensombl Advice South Africa podcast.
Portfolio Metrics is thrilled to bring you this podcast in support of our common passion for people and the evolution of wealth management. Our global business links precision investment management to expert financial advice through partnerships and technology. Portfolio Metrics is an authorized financial services provider. ComSpace is a revenue management solution developed specifically for independent financial advisors. It is a web-based application that tracks, allocates, and manages advisor revenue. The system seamlessly reads commission statements from financial institutions and can address any permutation of commission splits. ComSpace provides mind-blowing, out-the-box revenue business intelligence and analytics, along with super flexible reporting to effectively manage and grow your business.
Welcome to episode 100 of Ensombl Advice South Africa. I've been saving this guest for a really long time. This is a person that committed right at the beginning, but somehow life didn't work out. And my friend Andy Hart, I'm so glad to have you here for a conversation about all things life, financial planning, and juggling a million balls at once.
Yeah, no, very pleased to be here. So yeah, looking forward to this. I run a podcast, so I'm normally the other side of the mic. So this will be interesting, getting a bit of my own medicine.
Yeah, I should have gone back to all the difficult questions you've asked your guests over the years. But the idea with this is sort of a conversation where advisors can listen in to say, hey, I'm struggling with the same thing. And here's two guys that maybe have given some of it a stab, and we can share a little bit of what's worked and what hasn't worked. You have multiple projects going on at the moment. Before we get to your side gigs, tell me a bit about Maven Advisor and the work you do for your clients. Like, you're very specific with who you work with, and how did you get to that niche?
So I run Maven Advisor, which is a UK regulated financial advice firm. I think I launched it in 2017, but I've always been a sort of self-employed advisor. It's a solo practice, solo advisor. I've got a sort of team that help me sort of outsourced. We've got a pretty strict sort of investment proposition generally. Vanguard Dimensional sort of index funds, global equities as it were, being the growth engine, financial planning led, and sort of behavioral coaching as well. So that's the sort of three services that we offer. I'm basically building it to sort of be 50 families and 50 million AUM. And I'm sort of on track at the moment. I probably need to take on about another 10 or 12 families. And then that business will sort of just be complete, as it were. However, who knows? Once you get to a destination, you decide to change the goalpost. But yeah, that's that business, and that's the reason why all the other businesses have been set up. I'm a practicing advisor. I've got the advisor voice, and then there's a couple of other businesses that I've set up as well. So yeah, I suppose I look after sort of clients on the approach to retirement. I think my average age of an ongoing client now is 55. It used to be 61, but I brought it down. The perfect clients to be taken on are sort of 50-year-old business owners that are motivated and have got, 120 months left to fix this problem called retirement. I suppose over the years I've just shrunk my circle of competence. There's so much shiny new things in this business. And at first you have to learn everything. That's the idea, learn. And then to become a real expert, you have to unlearn. And that is the real challenge. And there's so much financial trash out there that people, devise, to make themselves wealthy. And a lot of it is not needed for our clients. As I say, just bog standard index global equity funds are going to be the growth engine that pretty much everybody needs. But then obviously it's asset allocation that's important, and it's them not doing, the wrong thing at the wrong time for the wrong reasons. Hence, us as financial advisors need to, hold their hand through all market cycles and all life transitions.
And you mentioned there Maven Advisor is the reason you do this and the engine behind it. Is that feeding the rest of your projects financially, or the rest of your projects feeding clients into your business? Kind of a bit of a symbiosis.
Yeah, I don't quite know. I mean, like most things, it wasn't really, a hardcore strategy in the beginning. Maybe a bit of a sort of background. I mean, I did a law degree at university that was very useful. I touch upon quite a lot of the stuff that I learned then, in my day job now. I then didn't want to become a lawyer. I thought, I have to do another sort of couple of years training, then a training contract. I thought by the time I'm about 30, I'll be earning sort of real money. So I thought it's just too long. So I thought I just need to go and get a job. So I went to get a job at 22. I was an estate agent for a year, just literally the first job that would have me. And then I was selling houses, and I thought that was quite interesting, quite useful, and, quite a fun job. And then I was interested in how people finance buying these houses, because they look like sort of normal people but buying very expensive houses. And I was thinking, how are they financing this? What's the mechanics behind it? I didn't really know anything about mortgages. Then I became fascinated with the mortgage market. And then I became a mortgage broker. And then whilst I was a mortgage broker, I then decided that I want to become a financial advisor and, help people with investments. So that's my sort of journey into it. I've been self-employed since 24. I'm 42 now, so I've been 18 years cracking away at this self-employed sort of solopreneur type journey. And it's obviously been tough at times, high highs, low lows. What I mean is Maven Advisor is the reason why everything else exists. So my journey was sort of a financial advisor. I used to work at another firm. I then was using Voyant financial planning software. So Voyant is a company coming out of Austin in America. I love technology and I love financial planning. So when Voyant came into my life, it was just like, the greatest day ever. And I was just training advisors for free. I come and sit with you for a couple of hours and show you how to use the software. And that went on for a while. And, as I say, I was just doing it, cause I loved it. And then one advisor said, why don't you charge us for this? We charge our clients for various things that we do. Why don't you charge us? I said, that's a great idea. I'll send you an invoice. He said, no, don't charge me. Charge the other guys. You know what I mean? Typical
charge me minus the cost of the idea.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take a cut of the future revenue. So then I thought, okay, right, how does this work? And then I basically became a consultant, and I was training financial advisors specifically on Voyant financial planning software. But then it was wider than that, because you can't train someone financial planning software without going through all of the pieces of the financial planning process. So I became a bit more of a wider consultant. Let's call it a financial planning consultant, but specifically using the software Voyant. And then again, it just happened by accident. I thought, well, I'm using this software called Voyant. I've got to set up a business because I've got to invoice people. What should I call myself? I'll call myself the Voyantist. And that was it really. So I went all in on Voyant software. I didn't want to call myself, the cash flow king or the financial planning, whatever. I just went all in on Voyant software. So I launched the Voyantist, and that's been doing that for about 10 years. And I've got another business on the back of that called Voyant Mastery, which is an online subscription sort of video training membership site. That's been a bit of a project. And then I suppose the final sort of brand is Humans Under Management. That's now how we became friends. Obviously, you've spoken at HUM SA. We do 2 conferences a year, one in London, one in Cape Town, South Africa. I've done a couple in Dublin as well. And that's a play on words, obviously. It's called Humans Under Management. We all know about assets under management, but, managing assets is easy. It's the owners of the assets that all of your professional problems come from. And it's, a play on words, Humans Under Management. And now it's sort of a content marketing company where we financial advisors subscribe. We've got about 200 members now from 11 different countries, and we're continually building out the product. We're just trying to help financial advisors and give them as much collateral as they can to have better, calmer clients, basically, through marketing and communication. And that's it. And then the final other sort of sort of project I'm up to is called TRAP. It stands for The Real Advisor Podcast. It's a video YouTube podcast that we do every fortnight, me and 3 other practicing financial advisors. And that's it. So yeah, I live, sleep and breathe personal finance. And, you know, I say I'm in the money business. I want to learn everything I can about the money business. Obviously I specifically earn my money through, you know, financial planning and investments, but I want to know everything about the money business. And I wake up every day and I'm immersed in it. I've got, as I say, different businesses and different logos and different email addresses, but it's all the same thing for me. You know, I'm either talking to a financial advisor, I'm helping a client, I'm producing a bit of content. So yeah, it's just all around the money business, and specifically around, investments and financial planning.
Andy, these things run so parallel and so close together. How difficult is it for you to switch gears into different businesses? Because they run so closely, I would imagine that that's relatively easy. Or do you find it that it's a different mindset when talking to advisors versus clients versus software providers?
Yeah, it's the classic, the grass is always greener, I suppose. It's like some people look at me and think, wow, it's brilliant. He's got like 3 different businesses, multiple streams of income. I look at someone with one business and think, you're so lucky to just have one business, 10 accounts, like one set of accounts, one business bank account. Yeah, I've run 2 VAT registered businesses, and obviously one is regulated. So it is a bit of a challenge. I've got 1 employee and then I've got a team of sort of 12 outsourced people. So again, if you find some A-player outsourced team members, like, they are worth their weight. And yeah, I've honed that over the years. As I say, I've been self-employed for 18 years. So it is all about having a great team. So I've got an amazing assistant in Maven Advisor, a good friend of ours, Pierre. He's sort of the co-founder, let's say, of Humans Under Management Premium. So we do a lot of stuff together. So yeah, just find good team members. I mean, first of all, you should outsource to technology. You know, for example, Calendly, it's like mind blowing. Zoom, all this sort of stuff. So first port of call is, can I find a tech solution that's going to save me time, make me more efficient, make me more productive, etc. If you can't, then obviously the next step is outsource to a human, and then the third step is employ someone. So it depends on what type of business you're trying to build. Between my 3 businesses, I've got about 430 ongoing clients that are paying me, monthly or annually. That's obviously financial advice clients, that's training clients at Voyant, on the Voyantis stuff, and then that's Humans Under Management Premium and a few other sort of coaching clients and various other things. So yeah, it's quite a lot to deal with, but I think I'm at the position where I can sort of scale up to probably about 1,000 based on the current team, the current setup, and the current sort of business offerings. So yeah, it's all fun and games. It beats working. Imagine if we had a real job, it would be a little bit more challenging. I mean, recently I've moved house, so I've been doing sort of builder work and jet washing and various other things. So I'll stick to the professional services. Thank you very much. It's quite lucratively paid and not too challenging. I sort of say, I think hard for a living. That's the key thing, really. We're in the ideas business, aren't we? Packaging ideas, pitching ideas, all good.
Yeah, I've heard someone say they pay me for what I know, not for what I do, which is such an interesting way, right, of just putting in more effort. I want to ask you the kind of credentialed route around financial planners, right? So obtaining a CFP designation, a chartered, is that something you've ever considered? Have you gone down that path and decided not to? It seems like a piece that is not there that I would have expected it to be there from what I'm seeing. So tell me a little bit more about that.
I must have built more financial plans than pretty much any financial planner in the world, probably. I certainly probably trained more financial advisors than, as I say, there'd be only a handful of other people. I've sort of said controversially, I'm proudly non-chartered. Hiding behind exams is, there's lots of CFPs chartered that, are probably not that good with clients. So no, I'm qualified up to the level that I need to be. I think I'm 2 exams away from chartered. But again, if someone's looking for a financial advisor and that's specifically what they're looking for, then probably to me that's probably a red flag from that client. Who knows what else they're going to be requesting down the line. So no, I haven't done the CFP. I've trained and helped lots of people submit their CFPs, but I've not done it myself. But yeah, I'm aware of the designation, and obviously it's decent. Our sort of main one now in the UK is chartered. I think it's called a chartered wealth manager. I could be wrong. But when regulation forces me to do it, then I will happily do it. But yeah, at the moment, I'm not, I think I don't know how many exams I've done. I think I've done about 15 exams. But yeah.
Makes sense. It almost like it gets you that foot in the door if you're looking for a good job, right? But the two things that you never want to be addicted to is cocaine and a paycheck.
Yep.
And you've kind of figured out that recipe to say, right, I'm gonna do this myself. I'm gonna figure out a different path that's unique to me, which is wonderful. I mean, it's always interesting to me to see how this evolved, and the piece that stands out is how much you've taken away. How difficult is it for you to say no early on, to say, well, I'm going to explore this, but this is my kind of kill criteria?
Well, yeah, part of your first point, yeah, I'm sort of unemployable, obviously, as most entrepreneur characters are. It's not saying I can't work well in a team, but I just, some managers just telling me what to do and just, do my head. And I think I had a job for about 18 months, and thank the Lord I set up on my own at age 24. Yeah, so I'm unemployable, which is great, which means then you need to carve your own path out. At the moment, I'm pretty much at business capacity. Like, I don't really need to take on any new projects. It's just fine tuning exactly what I'm doing. I also run a podcast called Maven Money. You're 100th show, which is obviously fantastic. I've got my 300th show coming up, and it's relentless. Obviously, the great thing about a weekly podcast is a weekly podcast. The terrible thing about a weekly podcast is it's a weekly podcast. It's relentless. But I'm just in sort of autopilot mode with just creating content. Some podcasts that I look back and I think, totally forgotten putting it together. It'd be like half an hour worth of sort of a whole subject area. Sometimes I have to listen back to my own podcast to sort of, refresh my memory about a certain sort of financial element of something, which is a bit weird. Yeah, I feel like my brain's full at the moment. It's sort of like one in, one out. I don't know if that's maybe my age anyway.
I feel the same, right? There's only a certain capacity, and when you get onto a topic and you say, oh, I'm going to go deeper into this. Like, looking back, what is the 300th episode? Like, what has changed in the way of your thinking? Because you're very specific with the words you use. Like, I can hear that. And I've seen that a handful of people where they have crafted so specifically of what they say that it's not rehearsed, but it's well thought through. Like, is that a function of the podcast, or was that something that you were inherently born with?
Yeah, I think I'm quite good at explaining complex ideas quite simply. It's just naturally happened. It's not as if there's any sort of strategic plan with it. Public speaking is something that I've worked at over the years. I've sort of paid consultants. I went through the Toastmasters sort of course. And it is very challenging. But I suppose I've got better and better at it, obviously, running conferences. That's the skill, isn't it? Trying to explain relatively complicated concepts in a simple way. I don't quite know what's changed. 300 episodes, it's just madness. I think about 75 are probably interviews. So most of them are solo shows. And I just think of an idea and then it just sort of sits with me for a while, and then I sort of make some bullet point notes and then sort of record it. I suppose advisors listening to this, it is all about shipping, which is a sort of Seth Godin term. I recommend you, if you want to get, build brands and understand marketing, Seth Godin is the guy. He's come out with about 30 books. I must have read at least 10 or 15 of them. The Dip, Purple Cow, Linchpin, All Marketeers Alive. There's loads of them. Definitely read. He's had the biggest impact on me in terms of shipping ideas. And there's never a perfect time to launch new projects, side projects. You've just got to, I suppose, do it, haven't you? And you should be somewhat embarrassed of your early content, because if you are always waiting for perfection, you're probably going to launch too late. And it's just trying new things, isn't it? So I recommend Seth Godin. The person that's had the biggest impact on me professionally is Nick Murray. So Nick Murray is an advisor to advisors. It's a bold statement, but he's completely changed my entire life, to be fair, not just business life. He just made me, rise to a completely different level and just think about things in a completely different way. So he's a guy that lives in Brooklyn. I think he's about 75. He's 25 years as a financial advisor and 25 years advising advisors. A lot of people subscribe to his newsletter, which I recommend that you do. I think it's about $300 a year. And his content is amazing. So he's had the biggest impact on me, professionally. And then as I say, Seth Godin as well. So yeah.
Can I ask you around Nick, you mentioned that he's had the biggest impact. Was that kind of one-on-one sessions with him, or is that working through his newsletter content? Like what did that engagement look like? Was it something more formal?
Yeah, so he is, I'd somewhat call him a friend now. I don't think he might echo that. So I think I've been consuming his content for, I don't know, maybe about 7 or 8 years. And I've sort of, somewhat popularized his content in the UK. So his books are amazing. I think I read The Behavioral Investment Counselor first, which is a fantastic book. The Excellent Investment Advisor is also a great book. I mean, I'm reading a book now of his blog articles from, I think, 1993. So it's just one book with sort of 20 articles in 1993. And there's still an enormous amount of valuable content in the blogs that he wrote in 1993. His content is somewhat evergreen. So it's not, specific to 1993. It's all the principles and practices that we as financial advisors just bang on about with our clients. I read his books and I was reading his newsletter. Then I went to New York to his conference. He's come to the UK a couple of times. When he came to the UK, I was lucky to sat next to him and have dinner. That was probably the scariest moment of my life. I had to do say a few words, for Nick Murray, after a meal we had in London. And the joke was, we bought you a gift, Nick. We wanted to buy you something that you didn't have already. And then the joke was, I bought you a bond fund. But no, we had a rare map of London or something. It was quite interesting. He's just had a huge impact on me, and I know that's sort of the case for a lot of other advisors.
It's like someone that you resonate with and you can actually see the impact in your life. How do you balance that consumption of content versus creation? Because I find for myself, it's either one of two modes. It's either I get to like, okay, now I'm in research mode and now I'm in production mode. Do you balance the two, or does it just kind of gel together more easily?
Good question. I mean, we are inundated with information at the moment, aren't we? With obviously podcasts, stuff on YouTube, books, newsletters, subscriptions. Yeah, I suppose that is the challenge, isn't it? How you curate the information that you consume. I don't consume as much as I did in the past, I don't think. I generally listen to various different podcasts. I obviously listen to books on Audible, which probably means I'm not consuming them as deeply as I did when I used to read dusty books. I still try and read dusty books every so often, but again, just the time's not really available. That is the challenge, what to consume. I do consume the Nick Murray newsletter every single month, and various other, as I say, podcasts that I listen to and stuff. How do you find your ability to sort of curate the information that you consume?
I think I'm going to answer that by looking back to my early days as an advisor. And I looked up to my now business partner, Morris, and I thought, like, how did you consume so much information? And the trick is you get to a point where it's maintenance mode, where you have that foundation where, this idea is similar to that thing and now it fits in. So now what I'm trying to do is to find something that doesn't fit in the traditional mold and say, oh, wow, here's something that actually breaks this previous idea of what I thought about.
Well, I think the other thing as well, do you remember when we first went to conferences when we were fresh to this business? I'd literally write 12 pages of notes, like maybe even more. Like just everything seemed like useful. If I go to a conference now and I write down one thing to do, like that's been a good day. Whoa, God, I didn't think about that. The other thing with conferences, it's mainly not what they're saying, but your brain goes off on another sort of tangent. You're sitting there talking about blue cars, and then you thought of an idea about red cars. You know what I mean? It's the ideas that sort of relay off them. So yeah, I suppose we have consumed a lot. And younger advisors, it is all about consuming information. Learn as much as you can, but then the real skill is obviously unlearning. That's where the sort of mastery comes in. I'm generally trying to shrink my circle of competence all the time with clients. Again, I know the right thing that they need to do. I know the right financial prescription for them. Yes, we're going to sit down and listen to their symptoms, but then we know what the financial prescription is, don't we? Invest just about an uncomfortable amount every single month, predominantly in global equities. Control your tax. Don't do anything silly. The markets are unpredictable. Just the same sort of, we're almost on autopilot with our clients, which is not a bad thing. We haven't got to reinvent the wheel every time we sit down with a client. The financial prescription is pretty much set before they sit down in the chair. Yes, they're going to now tell us, their individual pieces of their lives and their specific, challenges and transitions. But when we write that financial prescription, it's something we've written, many, many times before. This whole sort of fallacy about tailored and specific advice. Yes, of course, all of our clients are not exactly the same. But as I say, the financial prescription is very similar. Insure yourself against bad surprises, take out the right, insurance. Invest every single month, pay yourself first, all that sort of stuff. Be patient,
these foundational
disciplined.
principles.
Yeah. So a lot of the principles and practices, the foundational principles are pretty much set in this game. It just depends on how quickly you can sort of get there. The apprenticeship phase is quite long in the financial advisor business. I think it's probably a decade, which is good, because once you've through your apprenticeship phase, as someone said to me, the key to being successful in this business is being in this business. So your first year is going to be the worst. Second year is going to get slightly better. My total turnover of my first 24 months as a financial advisor was £12,000. That's basically nothing. If I minus expense, so I basically lost money for the first 2 years. And now I sort of generate, way over that per week. I'm just mentioning this because the more successful you are in this business, the earnings potential is technically unlimited. Certainly, you don't even need to have any degrees to become a financial advisor. So it's still one of the very lucrative professions that don't require too much entry. But the apprenticeship stage, I just say, is probably about 10 years. You might be able to short circuit that. But, once you're through your apprenticeship stage, like you sit down with any client, you're confident enough to know sort of what the answers are and then how to sort of direct them forward. It's quite a long apprenticeship phase in this business.
Andy, how did you engineer your apprenticeship phase? Because, at the age of 24, going solo, I'm assuming you didn't have a mentor looking up to. Was this through consuming Nick Murray's work and the other greats of the world?
Well, I became a mortgage broker during the sort of boom property times in the UK and London. So I didn't really overthink it. I was sort of busy from when I started, really. And then obviously it's, connections and people and who and professional introducers and stuff like that. So being a mortgage insurance advisor is obviously a stepping stone to then becoming a financial advisor. Everyone's got their own different paths of doing it. Generally these days you become like an administrator at a firm. You then sort of become a report writer maybe, and then you become a trainee financial advisor, and then obviously a senior advisor or whatever you want to call it. But you can do it in a shorter time. I think people are doing it in a bit of a quicker time, and obviously there's exams to do along the way. I don't know. I've just always just got on with it, I suppose. But been hugely interested in it and always wanting to learn more, and always sort of meeting people that are further along the line. Reach out to people. It's a very giving profession. try not send cold emails. They're just, it's just low friction to do that these days. Call people up and have a couple of touch points with people. Interact with them on LinkedIn, send them an email, call them up, rather than just send one cold email and expect to get something from it. But yeah, we're a very giving profession. We don't really have any competitors. There's enough clients, as Nick Murray says. Wealthy clients are falling out of the trees. They're everywhere. You just need to go and get them. So
I want to shift gears to talk a bit about Hum. And I remember sitting in a training session where Rob McDonald came back and he said, guys, I've just been to the UK and this is what I experienced. And he attended the London version of Hum. And he made a commitment saying, I think we're going to bring this to South Africa. Like, how did that journey happen? Was it one of those things where, here's an opportunity and you have the right people and the right team and let's build it out? Or talk me through the birth of Hum South Africa.
Yeah, so humans under management is obviously a play on words. We all know about assets under management. It's never really a good business story that starts with, I just checked to see if the domain was available. And obviously it was, no idiot's going to register humans under management. It's just a bit of a weird name. Obviously people in the business know it. So originally I was going to write a book, called Humans Under Management. And then I thought, and then a couple of people in the UK were doing independent conferences. This is 2017, I believe. I did my first one. I think it was 140 people in London. We sold out, 140. And then it just progressed from there. The conference business is a tough business. I'll just break it down briefly. So first of all, you've got to book speakers. So you've got to know a lot of people and have connections with people. And obviously, a lot of the time, you're looking for mates rates. Their official quoted fee is 10K, and you're sort of groveling to them and saying, "Can you please do it for a little bit less?" It's just little old me independent sort of brand as such. So I book about 25 speakers a year. So I've booked over probably about 150 speakers now since Hum's launched. You've then got to sell tickets to financial advisors, which is obviously marketing, and then you've got to worry about pricing and all the other stuff that goes along with that. Then you've got to know exhibitors, so that's large companies that can come and sponsor, and that's how it functions. If you didn't have exhibitors, it's a very, very expensive business, the conference business. So then you've got to know companies and people high up in companies that can make decisions, and then you've got to have sort of organizational skills in terms of how we're actually going to put this on. So it's a conference that I would want to attend. We generally don't have any panel debates. Every single speaker gets 30 minutes. And it starts at a nice time and ends at a nice time. And there's one track. So it's not 3 different tracks. So you've got track A, track B, track C. They all finish at different times. They're all confusing. Did you see that? I didn't see that. No. So I just want one track. Other people, fine. They might want to do 2 or 3 tracks. Yes, we did it in London, then we did it in Dublin, and then Pierre contacted me, obviously a good friend of ours, Pierre Talliard, and then Rob McDonald obviously is a very well-connected consultant, so it's basically me, Rob, and Pierre, who sort of are the organisers of Hum South Africa, and we do it in the Alan Gray Auditorium, which is a lovely place. The same format, so I help them with obviously the logistics and booking speakers, and we've got a speaker coach, Carrie, who I'm sure you've worked with in the past. So she helps all the speakers to be the best they can on the day. And we just try and, as I say, put on a great conference. And that's it really. I think South Africa is going to be our 4th in South Africa, with obviously a couple of COVIDs in the middle. And it's September I can't 19th. Remember the date. 21st maybe, or 19th? Let me have
I think it's the 19th.
Very have a quick look.
Somewhere next month. If you don't have your ticket and you're listening to this, I have some bad news. I think it's sold out, Andy.
I think there's a few tickets left. We
can twist someone's arm and maybe see if
exactly.
they can bring in another seat.
We're expecting 200 people.
Absolutely, one of those things where, yes, you have to fork out a bit of money, and most of the presentations that you get to attend, you don't have to pay. But guess what? They are primarily sales events, right?
Yes.
are people trying to convince you to distribute these products?
Yeah.
And that's something that took me a long time to realize, because it's just so well hidden.
Yeah.
Right? This is completely different.
Yes. And it's mainly around behavioral financial advice, which I think's the good stuff. So I used to go to conferences like everybody, and there'd be 10 speakers. 9 of them will be talking about investments, which I call lying from the stage. And one of them would be talking about marketing or behavioral finance. And I think that was the best talk of the day by a mile. So why don't we have the whole day, the good stuff, and a tiny sprinkling of the investment stuff? So I sort of flipped the whole format. So yeah, it is all around psychology of money, behavioral aspects of money, behavioral economics, all of the sort of, as I say, I think the good stuff. And yeah, we have stuff on leadership, on management, on marketing. Yeah, just a whole different sprinkle. And as I say, each speaker has only got half an hour. So, I mean, there's nothing worse than a speaker coming on and you think, God, this is going to be terrible. And it's just painful. And then you look at the program and you've got an hour of it. You think, Jesus Christ. If someone comes on, you think, oh God, this is going to be bad. And then you look down and you go, oh, thank God they've only got half an hour. And they're already 10 minutes into it anyway. So you think, great, onwards. People's attention spans these days are worse and worse and worse. So yeah, we've got to try and, pander to that.
Is there any speaker that stands out for you, kind of head and shoulders above the rest? I'll share with you who stood out for me, but I want to hear like who's the one. Is there one? Or at the risk of not offending other speakers.
I've had a few repeat speakers. I mean, for me, it's Rory Sutherland. I mean, he's an absolute wonder. It's very rare that, someone that writes very well and also speaks very well. Nick Murray writes very well, but doesn't quite speak at the same level he writes, if that makes sense. Whereas Rory is just so articulate on the fly. It's unbelievable. And he's an absolute professional. And when he first spoke at Hum, I sort of told his story a few times. He was on at, let's say, 4:30, and I'm frantically looking around for him. He arrives at, 4:15. I think he's cutting it a bit fine here, Rory. Anyway, managing talent. This is it. Speakers. Whew. Anyway, so I say, yep, I'm Andy. I'm the host, et cetera, et cetera. He says, oh, Andy, just before you go, he said, is it a fireside chat or a keynote? This is 15 minutes before he's going on. Most people, if you told them, oh, it's a keynote fireside, they'd be flapping about. And I said, no, it's definitely not a fireside chat. It's a keynote. He said, oh, okay, yeah, fine.
How stressed were you at that point?
Sorry?
How stressed were you at that point?
I know. I was thinking, this guy doesn't even know what he's doing here. Anyway, then he went up and did a superb 45 minutes keynote. It was just absolutely fantastic. I think he's got the highest rated. Oh yeah, we also, after the event, we get everybody to rate the speakers. And surprise, we get them to rate them out of 10. Why would you want to rate a speaker like good, very good, quite average? It's just ridiculous. So we've got MI for every speaker. And the average score for most speakers in the entire history of Hum, I think it's close to 8. Like, let's say it's like 7.8, 7.9, which is incredible, considering we've had about 150 speakers. So the standard is very high. I think the speakers, certainly financial professionals, they really, really prepare for it because they're speaking to their peers, which a lot of people, they find that quite fearful, speaking to their peers. Whereas I've sort of always been doing it. But you are vulnerable on stage, you're speaking out and sometimes you're taking a few bullets. But it's, a lot of fun as well when you get it right. So yeah, that's the sort of story of Hum. I've sold out London 6 months before we're before the mic off. That's on the 9th of November. So next year, I think I'm going to have to find a bigger venue and go for 500, which is very scary. Going to be very expensive, very risky, but hopefully I can pull it off. So, but yeah, if you sell out a conference 6 months before at 330, then it sort of seems like you've got to go to the next level, haven't you?
Either too cheap or you are doing something valuable. For me, it was Abraham Akusanya that was in Cape Town, and he just blew me away with his energy. I don't think I've ever experienced a speaker with so much energy. And I can remember like how amped I was after just listening to him. You want to get up and jump around. So it's
he is brilliant. He is brilliant. I remember when Abraham first, I think I was at his first public speaking gig. He did like a talk at, like a training event I was running. Obviously he's very unique in how he speaks and delivers, but you know, we were thinking, God, we need to take this guy aside and say, look, there's ways you do things, there's ways you don't do things. You know, we needed to give him some training, let's say, but we would have ruined him. You know, if he goes on a public speaking course, or me, like, you know, we're rough around the edges. That's what people like. You know, when it's too polished, it's like, oh, you know, you need to, you know, downgrade the polishness. So yeah, at first we were thinking, God, this guy is crazy. You can't be doing any more public speaking, but he gets top speaker in a lot of events that he talks at. So yeah, if we gave him some training, we would have ruined him. So yeah, that's quite an interesting story of Abraham.
It's back to Seth Godin, right? If you're remarkable and you stand out from the crowd and you find something that works for you, you can make it a success. Like, don't try and take that away, but rather amplify it.
I think it's another Seth Godin. You want to be a category of one, which is, so he gets you thinking like this, being unique, telling your own story. Abraham's a great speaker. I haven't seen him talk for a while, but I'm sure he's got some new content kicking about.
Can we talk a bit about Trap and, you know, this business of creating content, sharing ideas around what we can do in our practices, yet there's so much information out there. Like, how do we pick what we actually implement, and how do we get that accountability? It's something we spoke a little bit about beforehand, but you were telling me that advisor firms were getting together, working through the content. Like, how do they get to actually implement some of these things? Like, or are these businesses that are naturally curious and want to see what happens when we actually do something? Like, is there a recipe for businesses that are doing things well versus ones that are failing to implement?
I think it's a Manish Pabrai thing that I've picked up about cloning. Humans are generally very bad at cloning. Some people are very good at it. You know, and you say, look, this is what I do. This is the letter I send. This is when I send it. It works really well. Good cloners go, we're going to do that. Whereas the overthinkers go, okay, maybe we'll send the letter 2 days later and we'll follow up with an email and we'll charge them. And you go, no, you're not listening to me. I've told you the format. I've told you it's working, and do it. So if you're a good cloner, you'll do very well in this business, because no ideas are totally new. I mean, yes, they're sort of overally packaged as sort of something that's unique, but most things have been done before in this business. So Trap, it's sort of it stands for the Real Advisor Podcast. It's every 2 weeks. The good thing is Nick Lincoln does most of the preparation and the editing and the uploading. He sort of enjoys that side of it. So he's our sort of chairman. So it's quite good. I just rock up every 2 weeks for 2 hours. So it's not that much time, but it's doing really, really well. I mean, we think we've got listeners all over the world. The numbers are ratcheting up, and we've got concentrated, dedicated listeners. So if we have 1,000 downloads of a new episode, I'm pretty sure 1,000 people have listened to it. And also we've got it on YouTube so that there's a video version. Yeah, we've heard all things about it. You know, certain episodes are essential listening for new recruits. Certain episodes are certain things for marketing departments. And we have heard that firms like 6, 10, 12 people on a certain day sit in a boardroom and listen to it and watch it and pause it and then discuss all the points and say, can we do that? Can we not do that? What about this? So talk about an awesome free, you know, it's like 4 consultants, all 4 of us, because we're all practicing financial advisors, hence the Real Advisor Podcast. You know, lots and lots of people tell us how to do our job, and a lot of consultants, they go into great firms, the firms tell them the great things that they're doing, and then they go to the next firm and tell them the great things that they should be doing. Well, all they've done is just taking it from a great financial advice firm. I'm obviously being a little bit harsher on consultants, but you understand what I'm saying. So people like to hear from practicing financial advisors. There's me, who's a solo advisor, Nick Lincoln, who's a solo advisor, Alan Smith, that runs quite a big business, Capital Asset Management, and Carl Widger, who runs Metis Island. So we've got different perspectives. We're all sort of different ages, been in the business at different time. we challenge each other and push back on each other. But it's also quite light-hearted and fun. We play like random jingles and stuff. So it's, obviously it's a serious matter, but we've tried to, make it a little bit more enjoyable.
We said financial planning can't be fun, right? We can have a bit of fun. This doesn't have to be such an overly serious profession. I like what you said about cloning. Some people are really good at it. What I've seen, and I know this is some of the training you've also been through, like someone like the George Kinder work, like the impact on some of those questions is the specific words that they use, and they use that for a reason. It's not like I've seen people kind of copy and paste and change the 3 questions over and over again with less than half of the impact. Is that what you mean? Is like, don't try and change too much because you're taking away the impact?
As I say, some people can clone well, some people can't. And when you tell them, this is what I do in this order, they like to tinker and tweak. And it's like, you're asking me because you think my opinion is valuable compared to yours, and I'm telling you the answer, and then you're deciding to sort of go off-piste. These sort of people. You've got friends and family that, they say, I mean, I was looking for a childminder for my kids, as an example. The other thing as well, financial advisors, they'll say, go and see Andy. And then the person comes to you as a referral and they say, you've been looking after my mother, brother, best friend for 15 years. And then they'll say, I still want to get some references from existing clients. And you're like, do you not trust the person I've been looking after for 15 years? So, and they say, no, but it's quite serious when you're going to get a financial advisor. You need to get references. Just trust the other person that's done all the sort of sifting out through. So I had to find a childminder for my kids, and I've got a friend of mine, won't mention her name anyway. She's very, very thorough in her, assessments of people or whatever. And she said she's been using this childminder for all 3 of her kids for the last whatever. I've got no questions to ask this childminder. She's done everything. I'm like, here they are. There's the 2 of them. Where do I sign? She was like, do you want to read the contract? No, I'm just going to sign, and here's my kids. Because this person has done way more research than I'm going to do, and I'm trusting her. Done, sorted. If I ask someone I respect, a good, painter, and they say, yep, call this person, I'm going to immediately call them. I'm not then going to say, can you give me some quotes and just trust other people's judgments. That's sort of a tangent of cloning, but just get quite good at cloning. If someone tells you a good idea, just implement it as such. Later on, you might tweak it once you've become an expert in that idea. But when I do training, I said, just do this. I've been doing it for 12 years. Just follow exactly what I'm going to tell you. In a year, you may be able to tweak it, but don't tweak before you've learned the way I'm going to tell you. And a lot of people do that. They're like, 5 years later, they say, I've not changed it, Andy, since you told me. And I'm like, brilliant, this is good. Whereas other people are like, we did that 5 years ago, and then we did this, and then they're in a mess. And I'm like, well, now you've ruined all this, because they don't understand the impact of the tweaks and changes. Anyway, cloning is, Manish Pabrai talks about it. I didn't really think it was a thing until I heard it. But most people's cloning muscle is very weak. Whereas other people, they're brilliant cloners. Buffett talks about it as well, I think. Probably Munger talks about it as well. Anyway.
So do you say, hire someone in your business that's great at cloning? Like, you get an outsourced person in your business that could clone that? Or is it a skill that you, as an advisor, need? Is it critical for delivering advice?
Well, again, it's like your investment proposition. Like, speak to someone who, has done a lot of thought into it and has got an answer. I don't think you need to specifically employ someone who's very good at cloning, but it's just something to be aware of. When someone gives you a good idea that's like perfectly packaged, just embrace it. If you need to, and it's important for whatever you're doing, don't tinker and change things that are perfectly packaged, I suppose. Good cloners because they build a business on the back of just loads of stuff that they've heard. And they stick to it. They're not always looking for new shiny stuff.
Andy, what does the future hold for you? Is there any new ventures that you're adding on? Anything you're taking away?
No, I think I'm going to stick with what I currently have, as I say, I'm going to be a practicing financial advisor. The main thing really is building out Humans Under Management Premium, which is our subscription service for global financial advisors. As I said, we've got about 200 members now from 11 different countries. Yeah, that's going to be my sort of biggest impact, I suppose, to the wider profession. Going to continue doing what I've been doing, really. As they say, we're just getting started. It's been a fun journey.
It's wonderful to see from the outside and hear a little bit from the inside of this journey. I wish you all of the success in the future. Like, hope Hum Premium and Hum replicates across the globe. And yeah, thank you so much for being here today. Any pearls of wisdom
no worries,
you
my
want
friend.
to
Thank you very much.
leave our listeners with?
No. If anyone wants to reach out, you can email me, Andy@humansundermanagement.com. I'm on Twitter @MavenAdvisor, and also on LinkedIn. But or also check out my podcast, Maven Money, that is for end consumers, but also quite a lot of financial professionals listen to it as well. So thank you very much for having me on, mate. And I'll see you in SA soon.
It's been great fun. See you soon.